Is Novocaine painless, or will it make you feel something? Stay tuned to find out.
Thank you for coming along. Sit back and relax. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Robert Reacts, where I react to things. Thanks for joining me. Today, I'm reacting to 2025's Novocaine, an action thriller that is getting less attention than I think it deserves. It was released on March 14th. So, the concept of the main character not being able to feel anything did create a lot of really funny moments. I assumed when I learned that about the main character that we were just going to get a whole bunch of really, really bad injuries, which we do. The movie really delivers on that. There's a lot of sequences that are fun and unpredictable, and the plot can be a little thin, but thankfully the action makes up for it. And I feel like if you liked movies like Free Guy or The Lost City, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. It's too fun not to.
Warning! Warning!
So, this is your spoiler warning. You have 5 seconds to leave this video before I start giving you spoilers. Spoilers begin now. We start the movie by meeting Nathan Kane, played by Jack Quaid, who is an assistant bank manager. And he's a nice guy who likes to help out his regular clients. And he has a crush on his new coworker named Sherry, who is played by Amber Midthunder. And Sherry suggests a lunch date. And this is where we learn about Nathan's inability to feel pain. So they're out to lunch and he orders a milkshake for himself, and Sherry has ordered a slice of pie and she's been trying to get him to taste it. And he talks about how he has an inability to feel pain, and so because of that, he's never eaten solid food because he's afraid that he could bite off his tongue and not find out until it's too late. Totally. I think if the filmmakers were looking for the best way to put the audience in the main character's shoes, this is exactly how to do it. They picked something that was a very simple concept for everyone to grasp, and now we understand what we're up against. And so I really liked that they included this moment in the movie. And so we get this sort of like innocent scene where Sherry is trying to get him to taste this pie, and she eventually convinces him. And it's just, again, it's the filmmakers being super clever with the content that they're working with here. So then we meet Roscoe. Roscoe is Nathan's friend who they game online together, and their relationship is purely virtual. They've never met in real life, but they're friends. They're really good friends. They talk to each other about everything. And I love how this was presented in a way that doesn't make Nathan look like some weird recluse.
What the?
It's just a fact of modern life, is that because of the internet and all of the things that come with the internet, we have relationships with people that we are geographically far from and have maybe never met in real life. It's just part of life. I appreciated that they didn't make it out to be a plot point that made Nathan look like there was something wrong with him or whatever, like beyond him just wanting to play a game and talk to someone at the same time. So he's telling him about Sherry and the date they went on. And Roscoe is like, no, you have to go to Sherry's art show. You have to. She invited you. And so he goes and they end up going to a bar after. And Nathan runs into one of his bullies from childhood. And we find out that his nickname was Novocaine, which is where the name of the movie comes from. And we get like a quick little idea of what his adolescence was like, given that he was being beaten up a lot so that they could test the bounds of him not feeling anything, basically. Which must be a difficult thing to deal with, constantly being beaten up. And so again, we're getting character development for Nathan really quickly, really easily, digestible, very microwavable, but it's perfect for an action movie because we're not focused on the drama in an action movie. We're focused on the action. And so Sherry, seeing an opportunity to help Nathan get a little bit of revenge, convinces the bully to do a shot. Turns out the shot is hot sauce. And so they leave the bully there squirming from taking a shot of ghost pepper sauce. And they go back to Nathan's place where we have this sex scene that feels innocent, but also reminiscent of the scene with the pie. So like meaningful and sort of gentle in nature. I think it was really smart to have things progress the way that they did. It's the next day, and Nathan's feeling good. He's doing that thing that characters who just had sex the night before do in movies and TV shows where they like walk a little taller and, they're a little happier. And then 3 robbers dressed as Santa come and rob the bank. And they kill one of the other bank managers and force Nathan to open the vault to get all the money out. And then on the way out, they take Sherry hostage. And so Nathan, feeling like he needs to chase after Sherry after they had this great night, he steals a cop's car and gun and goes after. It's just interesting because I don't see her in a lot of things, but her facial expressions were so memorable from that movie that whenever I do, I'm like, it's that woman. So she then decides to call Nathan because they're like, this is not some mastermind, right? And he answers the phone and they have a conversation where she tries to stop him and he's like, no, I need to go get Sherry because the cops are not going to move fast enough for me. And for some reason, she's sympathetic to his cause and just lets him go.
Oh, no. 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 No, 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 no.
And we see Nathan stop by his client's shop, the one he was working with at the beginning of the movie, and the man patches him up from all of these gunshots that he has. And I found this a little weird. Why is the bank manager going to visit a client? That feels weird. Like, it feels like a reach in terms of.
You always know just what to say.
It's a gift.
These are people who are maybe a little bit more involved in your personal life than your bank manager. But again, we're watching a movie here. And there are some plot holes. okay? Some big plot holes. Don't fall in. Okay. We then check in with the robbers who are wondering where the robber from the kitchen is. And this is when we find out that Sherry is the sister of one of the robbers and is in cahoots with the whole thing. So her being taken hostage wasn't so much her being taken hostage, but essentially being removed from the scene of the crime. Wild. And disappointing for the viewer. Disappointing to find out that this really sort of genuine, organic love story that seemed to be developing in this movie was not. She was just using him to get a little bit closer. Roscoe ends up giving Nathan the address of the tattoo shop. And Nathan shows up. He's asking the tattoo artist a bunch of questions. And he gets suspicious and they end up getting into a fight. And for whatever reason, the tattoo artist is covered in like swastika tattoos and stuff. I don't understand why tattoo automatically equates to skinhead. Why are we still doing that in movies? Maybe it's because I'm tattooed that I have an issue with it. But we get another really cool scene in this fight. Basically, Nathan digs his knuckles into a bunch of broken glass and then like slashes the guy's face with it. It's wild to have seen Jack Quaid in as many kind of mouse-like roles, because he's always, even if he's the bad guy in something like in Scream, or he's the main character like in The Boys, he's still a little mousy. His character's always like made a little bit smaller. And so to see him have this movie where he starts out small and then is slowly like growing in size is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see this. It also, the perspective is unique, I think. Especially to dig your knuckles into broken glass and slash someone's face like Wolverine style. That's wild. So Roscoe gets him the address to the kitchen guy's home, the one with the tattoo, and he tattoos it onto his hand, which is insane. Like, there are scenes where we're like, okay, you can't feel anything. But then there are moments like this where it's like, okay, so this is now permanently on the palm of your hand. Didn't give that much thought, I guess. I should also mention that he keeps like an EpiPen with adrenaline in it to deal with any big injuries that come up. So most of these ideas, or most of the things he does, are probably fueled by the adrenaline coursing through his body. Hi, Gus. So the robbers find out about the guy in the kitchen and decide to go avenge his death. And Nathan shows up at this guy's house and it's covered in booby traps. And the last booby trap ends up leaving him hanging from midair. So he has to call his friend Roscoe to come and save him. And Roscoe's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. But the other robber who went to avenge this guy's death shows up first. And this is another scene where we play on the fact that he can't feel anything. And so the robber is like trying to torture him. And Jack Quaid is like, oh, ooh, that hurt really bad. It's one of the funnier scenes in the movie.
Wow, that hurt. That one hurt the most.
And then in the middle of that, Roscoe shows up and helps Nathan to overpower the robber. And Nathan, who has an arrow, he got hit by an arrow on the way in from one of the booby traps. He ends up shoving that arrow into the guy's skull to kill him. Like, a lot of what happens in this movie is beyond wild. You have to see it. The cops then show up, and Roscoe is able to create a diversion so that Nathan can get away. The cops do arrest Roscoe, and he tells them where Nathan's going. This all seems like something they planned out, but we don't really see the planning of that component. And then this is kind of where the movie starts to wrap things up a little too easily for me, but anyway, you let me know what you think. So Nathan shows up to the auto body shop where it's the one robber left, who's played by Ray Nicholson, and Sherry. And it's revealed to him that Sherry has been in on it the whole time. And this is the beginning of the Nepo Baby showdown. I don't necessarily want to call them Nepo Babies. I just think that that name is just, it's funny to me. But yeah, Nepo Baby showdown. Jack Quaid versus Ray Nicholson. And the cops show up and they injure Ray Nicholson. And we think that we're kind of done here, but they only slow him down a little bit. He ends up killing one of the cops and injuring the other one. And then he steals the ambulance that Jack Quaid is in. Right? So this is where like the true showdown, like the real showdown really like kicks off. Nathan, who was out cold in the back of the ambulance, he regains consciousness. He's cuffed to the stretcher that he's on, and so he has to dislocate his thumb to get out of the handcuffs that he's in, which is something that I feel like we've seen this in a lot of movies. This is one of those things where, like, you know, the kid who could flip their eyelids up and stuff. It's like one of those things. I'm convinced that it was included in this movie to be like a button pusher for that. And so he uses a defibrillator on Ray Nicholson, which is so funny that I want to say the last time we saw a defibrillator used like this was in Scream 4.
Clear. Clear. Clear.
And like kind of similar, although Nathan has it on his, like, attached to his body, and then he uses the other paddle to shock Ray Nicholson and get him to crash the car, basically. And so they get into a fight, and Ray Nicholson ends up dislocating one of his bones and leaving it like protruding out, which is gnarly, of course. And Nathan has one shot of adrenaline left. He shoots himself up with the adrenaline and then impales Ray Nicholson with his protruding bone. This scene was worth the price of admission alone. Like, genius. People being able to defend themselves with injuries, like, love it. Think, I forget what movie, the movie where like somebody beats somebody else up with their leg, or in Kill Bill when Uma Thurman has one of the crazy 88 like impaled and she's using him as a shield. Love it. Love it. Nathan then loses consciousness, and we catch up with him a couple weeks later, where we learn that he's in the hospital. He was in a medically induced coma, and we find out that because he saved the cops, or he saved that one cop's life, and because he's a white guy who works at a bank, they let him get off with house arrest. And then we flash forward a year later, and we see that Roscoe and Nathan are still friends, still playing online, and Nathan is getting ready for a date. We then see him waiting for someone, and it's Sherry, who is in prison, and they're having a date with some pie. And it's cute because they end up they end up ending the movie the way that they kind of became a bit more well acquainted at the beginning of the movie, which I really like. I like that there was those bookends. And that's Novocaine! Really such a fun movie. I hope you'll all watch it. I'm surprised that this movie wasn't as well marketed as it could have been, given how big the action is. More people should have heard about this. But there are a lot of little kind of quiet movies like that, you know, people don't really find out about them, because you need a big Ocean's 11 style cast in order to really, I guess, get some good marketing in for Hollywood. I don't know. That's just what it seemed like to me. There's another great movie called After the Sunset that is spectacular. It's also about robbers, jewel thieves in that movie. It's a good time. All right, final verdict. I'm gonna give Novocaine 6 pies out of 10. I think it's a good time. You're gonna love it, I'm sure. And the shots of adrenaline reminded me of the movie Crank, and the chase scenes are very similar to the Fast and the Furious. So like a little bit of both, you know? It's a good time. And you can enjoy this movie in the comfort of your own home thanks to Amazon. You can either use the link that is on the bottom of the screen, or use the link that we have in the description box below this video. And when you use our link, we get a small commission. It costs you nothing, and it helps keep our channel going. So thank you for using our links. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.